medically.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
My microphone wasn't on. It's on now. We're so professional. I don't know if you can see on your screen, but I've edited a couple of things in the background there. We've got some beautiful snow, and I'll just put our hats on again. Here's your hat, and there's mine.
Lovely.
Beautiful. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I am very excited because in in the future, today is Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's true. And also in the past, we recorded a very good episode with a celebrity wrestler. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in the past for the listeners, but it's in the future for us. So I'm excited about that having happened in the future.
Hey, hey, Ben, say his name.
Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin. No, McCluskey. McAllister. No?
Robbie
Robbie.
McAllister.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, the good thing about the people listening now is that they can go and listen to it immediately after they finish listening to all of this,
Yes.
which I'd recommend doing. If you're listening on Christmas Day, which is when this will be broadcast, just take the time to get away from your family, go and pretend you're in the toilet having a long Christmas poo, and get your phone out and listen to us talking a load of nonsense about alternative Christmas films. That's one of the topics for today, and how people celebrate all around the world. It's something that I never really thought about until I moved to another country. I always had the impression that Christmas was the same everywhere. Um,
Yeah. I think I'm a bit like that as well.
mm,
And that probably comes a bit from
I
films,
think so,
maybe.
yeah,
Because
because
I only watch like English or American films.
and you have all of these kind of romantic, idyllic films are set in Christmas where the people get together at like Bridget Jones's is Christmas, isn't it? And
That's a Christmas film.
what
Yeah, we've been watching loads of
Love
those. We,
Actually, just
yeah, that's one we have to watch out on Christmas Eve.
I can't bear it. It's just this.
We watched one today called The Holiday, and it's
Mm,
got Jack Black in it, but
is
he's
it?
like doing, yeah, he's doing straight acting. It's the weirdest thing.
Don't like that. Don't like the sound of that at all. He's a
Yeah,
funny man. He
yeah.
doesn't have the face for straight acting.
No, but that's it. He pulls all the same faces, and you're expecting to make like a fart joke, but he never does. The fart jokes never come. It was
Unbelievable.
rubbish. Yeah.
Serious Jack Black. Well, we're going to talk about some alternatives to those standard Christmas films. There's nothing wrong with them. Home Alone, classic.
Mm.
Most people watch the same things at Christmas. I always watched Only Fools and Horses with my family. You remember when they used to put out a Christmas episode about 20 years ago, every
Yeah,
year?
yeah, I did like a bit of Only Fools.
And
I always remember watching Star Wars on Christmas. It always seemed like ITV showed one on Christmas. Uh,
Knobenders, EastEnders, um, classic extreme drama on Christmas Day. Somebody has to die.
yeah,
Um,
there's always a death, isn't there? I remember Tiffany dying. That was sad because she was quite pretty. Um,
and
yeah,
they did a live as well. They did a live, the first ever broadcast live episode, and it was an
really.
absolute disaster. Did you not see that? Yeah, because the people, loads of them forgot their lines. They were just running up to each other. Could you? But they could. There's nothing they could do. Is it? You're broadcasting live. You've got to get through the scene, um, and it was just awful. But yeah,
I'll have to check that
alternatives
out.
to that. You're going to tell us a little bit about um, Christmas in another part of the world where they don't celebrate like we do in the UK with our ugly jumpers, which is something that's been exported to other places now. I think you're wearing one right
Yeah,
now as we speak. They
yeah,
don't.
I've got like nine Christmas jumpers. I feel that's possibly enough.
Is that
There's the Christmas dogs in the
Chris?
background.
Christmas Nigel.
Someone's come around caroling, and he's just ripping their throat out,
Good.
which is a Christmas tradition Only Big Nige has. But yeah, other countries' traditions. Where am I going? Where would you like me to go first?
Well, why don't you tell us about Guatemala?
Guatemala, which I've misspelt several times today when sending you information about it.
Yes.
So I apologise for
Yeah.
that.
Here we are
Um,
in guacamole, and what is it that they do? I've put some.
so it's for burning of the devil, which is La Quemo del Diablo.
That's
Um,
definitely not how you say that, but okay.
that was pretty good, I think. La Quema del Diablo. Um, yeah, so on December the 7th at 6 p.m. exactly, um, Guatemalans, apparently all over Guatemala, uh, burn the devil by
Hmm.
sort of building bonfires outside their homes, and they make these massive effigies of the devil. Um, but where did that tradition come from, I hear you ask?
Hmm.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
sorry. Yeah.
basically,
Where did that tradition come from, Richard?
um, so apparently it went back to like I think what do you call it, colonial times, where people used to have lanterns for their light, and then it sort of became an annual tradition uh, to burn stuff outside their house on the day of the Rosary, which was in late October. And over the years, it's just sort of developed and until it's become part of the Christmas tradition, like I say on December the 7th. And the idea of burning stuff is one that goes across a lot of countries and traditions, and it's an act of purification, isn't it?
Hmm.
Um, so uh, in modern times, it seems to have just become an excuse to get rid of your shit on the street and burn it. So it's like a big clear out before Christmas to make room for stuff for the new year. Um, Several times it's gotten out of hand. Guatemala, I don't know a lot about Guatemala, but I imagine uh, they don't have the greatest sort of health and safety rules. One Guatemalan town in Avenida, uh, the whole town basically burnt down.
Is
In
Avenida the name of the town? Because Avenida in Spanish is like avenue. It's like a street.
I don't know, or maybe no, it was a whole avenue. Sorry, or
Yeah.
a whole. Yeah, I saw the word sexter. I didn't want to say it, but
It
I
just
guess that
means
means
sixth,
okay.
sixth
The whole of
Avenue.
S- the whole of Sixth Avenue burnt down in the oh, that was in the capital of Guatemala due to the size of the devils that they'd built that year.
So why?
Um,
But what was the significance of the devil? I mean, I understand, like you were saying, purification. Um, but do they not? Because in one of the images here as well, this is a little bit confusing. One of the devils is dressed like Santa Claus. He's got a Father Christmas outfit on. Um,
I think they've sort of molded into one, but I think the actual tradition of burning a devil comes from a monastery in Antigua, where it became an annual tradition to burn the figure of the devil back on the day of the Rosary, um, and that was a way of representing Mary's triumph over evil. Um,
hmm.
and then that celebration was pushed all the way back to December, and it I think there's another feast, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception,
Oh
is
yeah, that
is
was last
around that time.
last week. I was on the
All right,
8th.
yeah, okay, so yeah, the 7th would work, wouldn't it? It's the night before the Immaculate Conception. It's the Immaculate Conception when Mary gets pregnant.
Um, no.
Well, let's just say it is. So I
Okay.
want to tell you a story about a friend of mine who is a Christian man, Kev. You'll meet him at the wedding, and he works with Sharon in a children's home. and he's a Christian man, and he was one of the kids there was asking him about Kev listens as well. All right, Kev, Merry Christmas. Um,
Hello,
but he,
Kev.
he was he was trying to explain uh, how Mary had a baby without having sex with Joseph and that. And this kid was like listening and like quite intently thinking about it, and then just sort of wandered off. And anyway, comes back a week later. This kid goes, "Yeah, I get what you're saying now. It was sky rape," which I thought was quite a cute way of looking at it.
Skyrape.
Yeah,
Ch-
a bit of sky rape.
Jiminy
Uh,
Cricket. The Immaculate Conception. I know it's called Immaculate Conception, and it gives the impression that that is when Jesus was conceived. But it's not about that. It's about celebrating the fact that Mary was free of sin. I think it's actually the day that she got beamed up to heaven,
yeah.
because she didn't die. Mary didn't die. She got beamed up.
Ah, I didn't know that, and I'm
Um,
meant to be a good
and she's
Catholic.
the only person that entered heaven as a living being, or without dying.
Wow.
Um,
Check you out with your Catholic knowledge.
well, it's celebrated here. I had a day off for that, and I like asking. We have days off over here in Spain. I always ask people why, and they rarely know. It's taken me 10 years to find out the reason that we have that day off. Because there's 2 days in the same week. One on the 6th, one on the 8th. One is the Constitution, which is a celebration of the Spanish Constitution, specifically when they introduced democracy in 1976. I want to say, somebody's probably going to correct me. It might be 78. I think it was 78. And then the other one is Immaculate Conception Day. And nothing happens. I say, what do we do? And everyone's like, oh, just don't go to work. Stay at home.
Seems pretty good to me. um, what one of the downsides of this thing is like the environmental impact it has, and the government have sort of started clamping down because, like I said, people have started using it as an excuse just to throw their shit outside, but they don't want anymore, and so they're like burning sofas and like bottles. I don't know, just general rubbish, and
Like fireworks night in the UK.
yeah, pretty much fireworks night on a council estate.
Hmm.
Um, but in 2008, the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources they put out this statement asking people to stop burning just crap because they they'd worked out that 1 hour of burning of the devil is equivalent to having 100 million cars in circulation at the same time in terms of the amount of carbon dioxide produced. So 100 million cars. I don't know how many people live in Guatemala, but I doubt it's 100 million, or maybe it is. I don't know. But
So
that's a lot of CO2 being produced for like what is meant to be a nice little tradition, but they've just ruined it by like burning their old sofa and possibly a granddad who passed away. I don't know.
oh, is that how they get rid of evidence
I
as
mean, they
well?
ought to. Yeah,
Oh,
I bet there's loads of bodies get burned at night.
right,
Bet
because
there
you
is.
like or old pets, because you have to pay nowadays. And if your dog dies, you've got to dispose of it officially. You have to pay
Not
for that.
cheap, man.
It's
It's not
much,
cheap.
yeah, it's much easier just to chuck it on a bonfire. I mean,
We'll never do that. It's
slightly
not on.
it's a little bit of a Viking kind of send off. That's pretty
Yeah, but
cool.
think of the smell. There's a reason you don't do it, isn't there? It must stink.
Well, it depends where you are. I mean, they'd eat it in some parts of the world.
Mm, well, maybe
So
in Guatemala. I don't know. That might be part of it that the National Geographic article hasn't told me about. Um, but yeah, I mean that's basically it. It's like fireworks night. It's like fireworks night and Day of the Dead mixed together with a bit of Christmas. Um,
it's an extraordinarily confusing mishmash of different cultural celebrations, and that is exactly what I'm going to talk about now. Zooming over to a completely different part of the world, Japan. Um,
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. There's bound to be some weird sex stuff.
you know what? Have you got any idea what they do in Japan to celebrate
Uh,
Christmas?
I don't know, like bind people's feet and fucking eat a dog. I don't know. It'll be something nuts. Japan. I'd love to go to Japan, but I'm terrified because it seems like a completely alien planet.
It's funny that you say that because they think the same thing about you, and that's why their celebration is quite comical. Basically, in Japan, they go to KFC.
Okay.
The reason that they do that is that Japan is predominantly a Buddhist country or non-religious. There's not really many Christians or Catholics there, so Christmas doesn't really have any particular significance. But in the 70s, well, the 60s and 70s, Japan remarkably after the Second World War managed to improve their economy. While a lot of countries that had used all their resources trying to bomb the shit out of each other struggled for about 10, 15 years afterwards, Japan's economy just soared to the point that they were one of the richest nations on earth, and their technology was advancing and everything. And suddenly, people over there had a lot of disposable income. At the same time, America was doing very well, and they kind of looked to the West, and they liked a lot of the stuff, the cultural stuff that was over there. They saw it as a kind of kooky, strange culture that was so different to their own, and they started to import a lot of brands. So they had their first like Dunkin' Donut or whatever, the pancake houses, all that stuff, in the main cities in Tokyo and Nagasaki and other places, and people are going to kind of try out these American restaurants as a quirky night out. And then baseball was very big, just American culture in general, and KFC was very, very, very big in all of that. So it kind of became a symbol of the West. To them, like England is just America, and I don't know, like Europe is just America, which is everything's America. So KFC represents Christmas over there. It's the symbol of how the peak of European and Western advances is a KFC bucket. Uh,
But I imagine it's a special one with a,
yeah, I mean they just put
oh, like that one that's in the picture. Yeah.
exactly. They just there's a hang on. Here's a family um, enjoying their KFC, just tucking in. So what they do is it's because so many people do it as a tradition. The day itself is not really special, but um, everybody wants to go and get a KFC Christmas bucket. So you have to order it in advance, otherwise you have to queue round the corner. So they go and get this special Christmas bucket and tuck into that at home. Um,
I bet they make an absolute killing on this. One thing I do know about Japan is like every food that isn't rice and fish, which is lovely, I'm not slugging it off, is incredibly expensive. Like fruit out there is mental. Like
mm,
one strawberry is like a tenner. It's like um I think I saw like a melon that costs 300 quid on telly or something.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know, is KFC, is it like a fancy place out there,
It's
or is it?
it has quite a prestigious. I mean, it, it's more about the branding and like the position of the Western world in their culture. It's a quirky thing. It's something that is considered to be like a fun luxury thing to eat. Because, like you said, they don't need to eat greasy fast food chicken. Their Japanese food is very good.
Mm.
So I don't know. It's a strange luxury, and yeah, it is quite expensive. Um, there's a very interesting documentary. Hang on, I'll just put a little screenshot in just to give you an idea of how the cultures have mixed. Called "The Colonel Comes to Japan," This is just a screenshot from YouTube. You can watch this documentary on YouTube. It's only about 20, 30 minutes long. It's very interesting. Um, it's from 1981, and it's about how Kentucky Fried Chicken, along with many other American brands, landed in Japan and kind of took over. And here you can see the Japanese employees. They do a pledge. They do a pledge of allegiance at the beginning of every day because the Japanese are very regimental. They're very
Yeah,
organised, and
yeah, yeah.
but they also kind of use this American indoctrination of like pledging allegiance to the flag, but they pledge allegiance to KFC at the beginning of their shift, and
Nice.
it's just a weird kind of mix of the different cultural approaches to life and to products and branding and all of that stuff. Yeah,
Mm.
check that out if you can. The history of the Colonel is very interesting. Just to go off on a little tangent. Do you know much about Colonel Sanders?
No, I don't. I once did a picture of Sigmund Freud, and everyone thinks it's Colonel Sanders.
Yeah,
So, um,
he's a really interesting guy.
is he
I
real?
yeah. He's not a real
'Cause-
colonel.
Well, because I I was led to believe that Ronald McDonald was a real head of a company, but they made a film about McDonald's, and it turns out Ronald McDonald is not the CEO.
Oh,
So,
unbelievable! I mean, I met him several times um, at my birthday parties. But yeah, I did a when I was working in the prison, which you know about now.
yeah,
In my course, I had to encourage young boys, teenagers, 13 to 18 years old, to stop stabbing each other and doing all of that stuff and just be nice. And part of that was doing a presentation about people who had come from difficult environments, home environments, difficult circumstances, and elevated themselves above the challenges of life. And a couple of the people that I included in that were Alan Sugar,
right,
because he was Alan Sugar, Sir Alan Sugar. He was
yeah,
very very poor. He was a really poor guy, but he used his business mind to
Stubby.
yeah. And Ricky Hatton, do you remember the Hitman Hatton?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Ricky Hatton, he became a world famous and titled boxer, but he was a bit of a loser when he was a kid. He was supposed to get a job in his dad's carpet shop warehouse, and on his first day he was cutting some carpet and he sliced his hand open with a Stanley blade, and
Ugh.
his dad was like, I don't know what to do with you. You're just useless. So he ended up got really frustrated. He got into boxing, and yeah, but Colonel Sanders was one of them because he didn't succeed in life until very late on. Like he was, I think he was in his 60s, and he tried everything. He was a lawyer. He was a salesman. At one point, he used to do boat tours down a river. I can't remember where he was in Utah. I think it was on Mississippi River that he
Yeah.
used to do the boat. He used to work on the railroads. He was involved in a shootout at one point. His
Oh,
first his first chicken place was inside a gas station, and he started selling his chicken in the gas station, and he put these signs up all over the local area, painting these signs on the sides of barns. And there's a local gas station rival that got really annoyed and started painting over them, and he went and confronted him, and the guy pulled a gun and just shot one of his mates dead. And
God bless America.
Colonel Sanders got in a shootout and shot the guy in the shoulder, and the other guy ended up going to jail. But yeah, he's an honorary colonel, although he was in the military. Um, and finally, just to finish on him, he sued KFC um, for $122 million after he sold it to another company, a conglomerate. They kept him on as like the representative, but
Yeah.
he didn't like the way that they were making the gravy. He called it slop, and he was like, "You're doing a really bad job." And he basically sued them, and they settled out of court. I think he got about $1 million, which is a lot at the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was a real guy. And just to come back to the reason I mention him is obviously they celebrate him in Japan. I don't know
Mm.
if I've got a picture of the Japanese colonel all dressed up somewhere,
No way.
but it's quite funny. He looks. It's just this weird kind of like I say, cultural mix. Talking about cultural mix, when you go to KFC, you have to get a special Japanese Christmas cake. Do you know what the Christmas cake is called?
No.
I'm going to do a Japanese accent now because the word forces you to do a Japanese accent. It's called kurisamusu kiki, and I think that the Japanese are taking the piss there a little bit because it's basically just kurisamusu kiki is just like it's
Christmas
like
cake.
Christmas cake in a Japanese accent. I think they're winded. The Japanese language doesn't exist. They're just making it up. Yeah,
You know what though? If you get a chance, throw that picture back up of the guys doing the pledge, because
there it
I
is.
imagine, like, I eat a bit of fast food every now and again. Not so much since I've met our friend Matt,
Hmm.
um, but like I imagine KFC in Japan would be very, very clean, like really consistent. Things would look like it does in the pictures.
Hmm.
That's one thing that always upsets me. And I just want to take this opportunity uh, to talk to Long Eaton KFC, which is the one down the road from me, and just tell you once again that you're shit and your food is
And you know
awful.
you are.
And
Yeah.
I've told them this to their face in the drive-through, but I just want to say it again in case anyone from KFC's listening. We'll have to put a hashtag KFC on this. Just go sort out fucking Long Eaton KFC. It's an absolute disgrace, and I refuse to eat there ever again until it's taken over by the Japanese.
The
So,
gravy's slop. Um,
Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas.
bitches.
Very quickly just going to insert one little tangent there because I went off on this little rabbit hole down this rabbit hole of food being celebrated in other parts of the world, and another thing just down the road from Japan in South Korea, um, they have another American delicacy, but something that we eat in England as well. Spam. Spam
I
is
like spam. I do.
luncheon
It's
meat.
nice, man.
It is. It's considered in South Korea. It's a luxury item. Um, there
I
is.
bet it's a luxury item in North Korea, for fuck's sake.
Oh, well, they don't have it, but it's. I don't. Again, I think it's a kind of representation of Western culture, and they sell it in this special. It's called the Black Hamper for Christmas. Is like the
Right.
best gift that you. If you give this to somebody at Christmas, it's a representation of your personal wealth that you're doing very well for yourself. It has like 9 tins of spam in it and 2 bottles of Andalusian oil, and
Wow.
yeah, and they do all of these. Have you ever seen all of the different varieties of spam? Here's what
No.
a Christmas special, a limited edition figgy pudding spam.
Ooh.
There's so many. I did an episode of a different podcast. I cheated on you about spam. Actually, it was a language episode. Very interesting. I might link that in the description because spam globally is actually quite an extraordinary food, but that's all over the place. Would you eat figgy pudding spam?
Um, I'm not a big fan of Christmas pudding, so no. I'd try it. I just looked up to see how much that 79,900 South Korean won
Yeah.
would be. It's not that much. It's like 50 quid.
Hmm.
But that feels a lot for
For
some
spam.
spam.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's 50 quid's worth of spam.
It's
I don't
literally
like you.
you don't anything that flops out of a tin. I mean, you're not. You don't pay money for that. Come on. It makes
Spam.
the spam noise when you turn the tin upside down.
Spam led to one of the greatest rock and roll moments I've ever seen. I don't know if you know this story about our mate Craig when he was in his band. I'd not
Hmm.
seen him for several years because it's Craig, and
Yeah.
I found out his band was playing at a place in Northampton. So I just showed up like to make him say hello, and I met him like before the gig, and he just cut his thumb on a can of spam,
Can of spam, obviously.
and and wouldn't go to hospital. It was like a gaping cut in his thumb, and wouldn't go to hospital or whatever. So he taped it up with like some electrical tape, and then went on stage in his skinny white jeans from Dorothy Perkins, playing his pearl white Fender. And of course, this electrical tape stayed on for about a minute, and then it was just a bloodbath with like people in the front
Screaming.
turning around with like specks of Craig blood in their eyes. It was funny, man. Good old spam.
Yeah.
It's a good night.
I don't have any spam stories like that, but yeah, it's a nice one. Yeah. Lovely
It's
stuff.
another food. It's another food we're not allowed, mate. Now,
Yeah.
Matt
It's
Matt wouldn't like it.
off the menu. Not that it was ever really on the menu. Right, where are we going next?
Let's go to Austria.
Oh yeah.
Ostrich. Is that how you say it? How would the Spanish say Austria? Ostrich.
Austria.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't know. I was thinking of.
They'd say it in a pretentious accent though.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a fella called Krampus. Like some people might have heard of Krampus. There's been a movie about him. That's him. Look at him. Fuck me. Wow. So, like in England and probably America and that, you have the naughty and nice list, don't
Yeah.
you? And no one really takes it too seriously. As a parent, it's quite a good tool, especially like throughout November and December. You've got to do that. Go and brush your teeth, otherwise you'll be on the naughty list, and then Santa won't bring you any presents. In Austria, though, it's like go and brush your teeth, or this fucking guy will come and kidnap you, put you in a basket, and drag you to the gates of hell and bum you to death. It's like Krampus is evil, man. It's like it's really fucked up.
But
It's
what
like,
I got some questions here because like in that image at the bottom there, it looks like there's a bishop.
no, so that's Saint Nicholas, right?
Right.
So
But
Saint Nicholas he's hardly any better.
What?
He takes Krampus with him to do the fucking dirty work.
So they're mates. They're buddies.
They go out at Christmas, right? So it all started like way back, like 1500s or something crazy like that. Krampus is considered to be like a half goat, half demon monster, and his sort of role in etymology has always been to like scare kids into being good. So I
Sounds
guess
like a great job.
yeah, but I think like from like Krampus, you probably get the idea of the boogeyman and like other things like that that are designed to terrorize children. But yeah, it's meant to have. Are you all right? Have you just collapsed?
No, what?
Oh, I just heard loads of noise. I don't know what it was.
No, I'm fine. No worries.
Okay, good. Well done. But yeah, so it's sort of meant to go back to like pre-Christian Alpine traditions. That could be like 6th or 7th century, like really old, like and it's always been around as an idea in Alpine communities. So he started off as like a sort of snow monster, but then with Christianity coming along and the idea of Saint Nicholas, they sort of teamed up. And like, if I just did a look at that one where it's a black Krampus, man.
I
You
don't.
see that as a kid?
But
That's fucking terrifying.
what's going on there? Because there's a girl that seems to be just happily eating some apples and
Yeah,
ignoring that next to her, her brother, I suppose, is being rammed into a basket.
I mean, to be fair, the brother looks like a pretentious little prick, doesn't he? In his
Josh.
little sailor's outfit. I'd be well happy to get rid of
He's
him.
walking around pretending to be a sailor. There's no way he's got the qualifications to be a sailor.
So the
Posing.
little girl in that picture has obviously been good, and so she's got some apples, which I wish kids would accept that now rather than fucking Air Force One and a PS5.
Yeah.
Um, and the fat little boy has been bad, so he's going in the basket down to hell for a good bombing.
Good.
Um, it's like it's terrifying, but you'll see that Krampus also has these chains on, doesn't he? And
Hmm.
that's because Saint Nicholas, who you see in the other picture there, keeps him chained up all year, just starving him, um, like and just like tormenting him with Christianity because he's like half demon, and Saint Nick just winds him up all fucking year
Yeah.
until Christmas time when he lets him out to feast his unholy uh, cravings on the children of Austria. And this has gone on like it's gone on for years and years and years, and I suppose over the years it's kind of become a little lessened. But can you imagine being in the 17th century as a child when everything was ruled by the fucking church and getting shown these pictures of Krampus? You wouldn't dare fart, would you? I mean, it'd be like, um, so
I,
that went on for a long time, like that whole thing. But then, 1932, uh, end of the war and stuff in Austria. Um, the Austrians, I don't know if you know, they sort of got this thing called the Christian Social Party as their sort of government, I suppose. Would that make sense?
yeah.
Um, and they were very focused on Christianity, but also like making it a bit nicer for everyone. So
Christianity Light
yeah, but
2.0.
they banned Krampus um, for the time they were in power.
It's not a good
Um,
image for the Austrians after, producing Hitler.
no,
To
I
have these
suppose
demonic masks parading through the street at Christmas Day. No.
yeah, but back then in the 50s, it kind of came back a little bit. Like what you were saying about Japan, sort of having taken on the American culture. I think everywhere was sort of in the 50s. That's when teenagers were invented, wasn't it?
Hmm.
And the government were putting out this stuff about don't be Krampus. Krampus is an evil man. Um, and teenagers just went, right, I'm dressing up as Krampus and scaring the shit out of some kids. And it got to the point where the government were putting out, excuse me, actual warnings about children's mental health. Um, Obviously, with modern times, everyone knows Krampus or believes that Krampus isn't real anymore. So it's sort of become a bit more tongue in cheek now. We have Santa runs. Have you
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
seen
They
them?
do that in Spain as well, yeah.
Okay, everyone dresses up as Santa. In Austria, they get pissed um, and dress up as Krampus and do
Obviously.
Krampus runs. One of Krampus's favourite things to do is whip children primarily with birch sticks.
It's the
And
best.
so
It's the best wood for whipping children. I found. I'd recommend to anyone if you're going to do that, use birch.
So now you get all these like grown up people dressed as Krampus with a load of Austrian beer in their bellies, running around whipping anyone on the street with with birch rods. And in 2019, the government again had to try and ban it because several fights broke out and four Krampuses died because
Wow.
like
Oh my
people didn't
god.
people didn't like getting whipped in Vienna, and they beat the shit out of these Krampuses, like to the point where these poor bastards died, which is fucking mental. Merry
That's
Christmas.
extreme. That's extreme. They had a very similar thing here during the local festivals called the cabezudos, which is like the big heads, and you have people that wear these enlarged heads, and they chase after the kids, and they properly beat them. They have
Wow.
these sticks and it's like a game, but if they get you, I don't know there's no kind of like application process that you have to go through to be one of these cabezudos. So I think there's just some people that genuinely hate children that just go, right, I'm gonna fuck you up. Especially that's that kid. That's that kid that threw eggs at my car 5 years ago, and now his time has come, and they literally just beat these children. If you're not
Wow.
fast enough, I'll see if I can put a video in the link in the description. But yeah, uh,
But
Krampus.
yeah, so there's a few other bits like Krampus has become a bit of a brand now. There's a in Austria. There's a Krampus schnapps, which
Hmm.
you mix with a Red Bull. I've actually had this years ago. You mix it with Red Bull, and it's called a Superflugel, which is
Wow.
like a sort of après ski little boost, I suppose. Yeah, that was quite good. It's like a black schnapps. God knows what it's made
Just
of.
to give you energy for beating children with birch.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. Um, yeah, Krampus, as I mentioned, there's like a couple of movies now. Yeah, like the Boogeyman, I think, comes from Krampus. But that's Krampus. Pretty evil, very evil, very lovely though. I enjoyed learning about him.
Hmm.
Uh, and
Yeah, it's nice to know that
considering
there's a kind of a nega Santa, like a black version of this guy coming down your chimney and giving you gifts.
it
Um,
does piss me off it though. Fucking Saint Nicholas. Like part of the reason Krampus is so angry is because Saint Nicholas is known to just wind him up like all fucking year. And that's why he hates these kids. It's like really messed up. Like I think Saint Nicholas has a lot to answer for in this.
yeah, I wonder how they ended up being a duo like that though.
It's
It's
a bit
true.
like me and you, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly like that. Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Um, but yeah, what is okay? Meanwhile, I'm gonna take us to our next location, which is, of course, I thought it would be fitting if I spoke about where I live, which is Spain. I mentioned in a previous episode a couple of the things that go down around Christmas. One of them, I don't know if our listener, hello Ginger, remembers, but I did speak about the cagatillo, which is this little log chap who
Oh
has
yeah,
a
yeah.
blanket and a little hat, and the children come out and they sing a song demanding fruit and nuts and not kippers or herrings. And while they're singing that delightful song, they're just beating him with a stick, and he has to. He's not allowed to change his expression. He has to keep that same fixed little smile on him while they beat him, and then he poos out a present. So that's
It's like a reusable pinata, isn't it?
basically, yeah, with its own clothing, and yeah, it's different. But Christmas here in Spain for me was the moment that I realised that Christmas is not the same around the world. Because, like I said at the beginning, I had that impression probably from the films, as you said, that it's the same everywhere, but it's very much not. They don't really celebrate Christmas Day. Christmas Eve is like Christmas Day here, although that's only arrived in the last maybe 10, 15 years.
We do that though. Christmas Eve is bigger for us than Christmas Day, I think.
Yeah, but they open their presents. We're not allowed to open our presents in the UK,
Oh
by the
no,
way.
we're not.
You
No,
can't
that's
do
true.
that. That's against the rules. But they meet up on Christmas Eve and open presents now, um, purely because they used to celebrate the Three Kings. There they are. Interesting thing about the Three Kings, which happens on is it on the 5th or the sixth of January. So they have the Christmas holidays, and they decided to start celebrating Christmas, as in Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, because the kids didn't really have time to play with their toys before they went back to school. So now
Hmm.
they celebrate both. But the Three Kings are the chaps that used to deliver the presents, and they still do in a lot of places. Nowadays, you can go to local shopping malls or public spaces, and you see the Three Kings just throwing sweets out, literally just chucking sweets at the kids. Um, there was for a while some outrage, not locally because nobody really cares, but externally. I think the BBC wrote an article about them doing blackface for Balthazar, which is the Black King. There's one Black King and two White Kings, and Balthazar is the black one, and they used to black up for that, and that was featured in a few articles, being critical of that. But nowadays they just use real black men. So it's been an upgrade.
Ah,
So
to be honest, I'm surprised that the white Christian church allowed even one black guy to be a king. Considering they all would have been. Fuck me,
it's
religion.
I can't remember the names. Was it Balthazar, Gaspar, and I can't remember the other guy. Nobody
Dave.
really likes the Dave. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they usually celebrate that. There's several things around Christmas though. They have the Belen, the Belenes, which is the nativity
Sorry,
scene. Um,
the bell end.
the Belen is
All
Belend
right.
without the D. Uh,
Okay. Right. Okay.
which is the nativity scene, which I also mentioned in previous episode, is the tiny little nativity scene people usually have in the entrance to their homes, and sometimes they put the caganer in there, which is a Catalan,
Yeah.
Catalonia
It's,
celebration, the little pooing figure.
I
But they
like.
also have the big ones that you can go and walk through. Here in Zaragoza, where I live, you can go and walk through Bethlehem, and in England they sometimes have them in front of the church. They'll just have like the manger, a couple of donkeys, and just the barn scene, won't they? But here they have like the whole hog. They go for it. Um, what else? Well, the most surprising thing for me at Christmas was New Year's Eve. The first time I celebrated Christmas in Spain, I went to the town square with a Spanish friend, and we were there for the dongs. That's the chimes of the clock, not
Yeah.
anything filthy. And at midnight, he handed me a cone full of grapes, and I was like, "No, I'm all right. I'm not hungry, mate." And then just he didn't have time to explain what was going on. I suddenly realised that everybody was holding one of these cones of grapes, and when it hit midnight, they all just started stuffing the grapes into their mouths. And I kind of mildly freaked out and I just lost my mind for a moment. I was like, what the hell is going on? But that's what they do at New Year's Eve. You have to eat one grape for every chime. You've got to fill your mouth with 12 grapes. Um, and the history of that is that one year, about 60 years ago, it's a relatively modern tradition. Um, they had a super harvest of grapes, and some genius at the council or the government came up with this idea, this marketing idea. So we'll create a tradition, and they did, and it stuck. So everybody does that now at New
Wow.
Year's. And the 12 grapes or the 12 chimes are supposed to represent every month of the year and all of that stuff. And then finally, we have the what's it called again? The Dia de los Santos Inocentes, the day of the innocents. That It's kind of a weird one. It's on the 28th of December, and it's the Spanish version of April Fools.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, it's a day that you're supposed to. So I don't know if you can see that image, but one of the things that
Yeah.
they do, one of the traditions, is to make a small paper cut out of a person and glue it or stick it to somebody's back without telling them, like, ha ha, idiot. Um, and yeah, they just do lots of pranks. But the origin of it is actually just really disturbing because it's a celebration of or a commemoration of all of the children that were murdered when Herod tried to kill um, the
Baby
Messiah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they found out from the three kings, from the Magi, um, that he was in Bethlehem. So he said any of the kids 2 or under, he sent his soldiers, and they just murdered like a whole city of children. And this day is like a remembrance day for them, but they don't really do any remembering. They just prank the shit out of each other. I don't know how it's become that. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't see the connection. But yeah, it's just a day for pranking your friends and family. And you say, ha
It's a
ha,
bit weird. But,
it's a bit weird. proper weird. Oh, and one last thing, they have this lottery, which is the most complicated lottery I've ever experienced. It's insane, right? Because I don't know if you can see this on the screen. You get your number, so that the long number in the middle is your number, but
Hmm.
they make like a series. So this other thing in the corner, it says Siri, is you get a series number. So there's 10 tickets with the same number, and that's a series. And you can win by having by having the same last number as the number that is the winning number, by having the series number, or by having a combination of the series number and one of the other numbers, and loads of other stuff. And it costs €20 a ticket. So it's really expensive, and you never win. And I don't understand any of it. It gets weirder though, because they have a school, a specific school that announces the numbers, and they do it by singing. So they get these kids that come out, and they'll come out and go, Ocho! Just sing the number 8. There's just one number for one kid. Then they walk off the stage. Another kid comes on and goes, Tres! And then they go, it's weird, man. I didn't really understand what was going on the first time I saw that. But it's a really big deal here, and they have serious FOMO, fear of missing out. Like, everybody thinks if you don't get a ticket, it's going to be the one year that everyone in the office wins. So,
Yeah.
and that's Christmas in Spain. They don't eat turkey; they eat seafood a lot of the time for Christmas dinner.
Well, I'd like
Um,
that. I'm down with that, man.
yeah, and we have turron, which is a kind of nougat. Do you say nougat or nugget? Um,
Nougat.
yeah, a kind of nougat, and lots of other sweets that are very different over here. A lot of nutty things, but they don't have um, Christmas crackers, which is a pity.
Hmm.
Although they're starting to appear in the shops now because everything's being introduced very slowly. Oh, a lot. I forgot one thing. Roscon. There you go. This happens on Three Kings Day. The roscon is like a giant donut filled with cream, and
Nice.
inside you got two things. You have a little toy, which is the prize, which means that you get to wear the crown that comes with it.
Hold
Um,
on. Can we just stop there and not make it weird? You're going to save us something fucking. Because it sounds lovely now.
uh,
But now you're going to save us like
and
a
the other
goat
thing,
arsehole
there's a
or something.
goat's testicle. No, it's a bean, a little bean, and if you get the bean, it means you have to pay for the roscon.
Oh, I want one of them, man.
They're pretty good. It's nice. It's nice. Giant donut filled with cream. I hate the sugared fruit though on the top. It's weird.
Oh, the candied fruit,
Yeah,
like glacier fruit. No,
not
I'm
fan of
down
that
with
stuff.
that. Hmm.
No, well, I'll post you one.
Nice. I'll receive it sometime in February.
Yeah. Have you got anything to finish off with?
Are we going to talk briefly about alternative Christmas films?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the answer to your question. Um,
Well,
it,
should we just do one each? Like, I've got my favourite. If you want to have a quick. I don't. When you said alternative Christmas films, I wasn't really sure what you meant. So I just picked like it's one that is so bad. Um, I've learned to love it, and that is Santa with muscles.
I never heard
Un-
of this before.
have you not? Well, unsurprisingly, it's got a wrestling connection. It's one of the few movies starring, that's a loose term, Hulk Hogan, who plays a man called Blake Thorne. It's like, what year was it? 96, I think. So it doesn't, yeah, it's 1996, so it doesn't even really have the excuse for being so shit. Like the special effects in it look like my daughter did them. Uh, it's awful. The basic story is Hulk Hogan. You can see there. He's the Santa with muscles. Um, he he's not always been Santa. Basically, he's a millionaire who sells bodybuilding equipment. that are like plastered with his face. His character is called Blake Thorne, which
Wow.
also sounds like another wrestler, you know. Um, and then he gets in a bit of trouble with the police, runs into a shopping mall, and decides to disguise himself as Santa to get away from these police people. Um, but then, in a hilarious twist of fate, he receives quite a severe brain injury when a giant ball drops on him, and he gets like amnesia. Uh, and there's this evil elf who, it's hinted at that the elf is selling drugs to kids out of Santa's grotto, but this evil drug dealing elf finds um, Hogan and with all his amnesia and convinces him that he is actually Santa. And then hilarity ensues for the next 122 minutes. And at the end, you just want to kill yourself because you've realized you've wasted 2 hours of your
Wow.
life. If you've not seen it, I'd like to say it's worth a watch, um, but it's probably not. But I don't know, if you get really pissed off with your family and need an excuse, just say, "Oh, I heard about this great film on a podcast. I'm gonna go and watch it. Anyone want to join me?" I guarantee after a couple of minutes, everyone else will leave. Um, Only a few interesting things about this film. Uh, is it Mila Kunis, who turns out to be dead hot in the future. She was in it. That was one of her first starring roles.
Hmm.
Uh,
She plays
one
the voice of Meg in Family Guy.
is she as
Yeah.
well, and she's in like Transformers, and she's very beautiful, isn't
Yeah.
she?
Yeah, she's a hottie.
Um, yeah. And another guy was also in it. I forget his name, but Don Stark. They both ended up in that 70s show. Do you
Hmm.
remember that 70s show?
Yeah, yeah.
One of the executive producers um, was ended up going to jail, and his name was Jordan Belfort. Do you remember him?
No.
Wolf of Wall Street. Have you seen
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah,
movie?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so the real Jordan Belfort was the executive producer.
Hmm.
The only other interesting fact I can find about it was that I can't find out the guy's name, but the original author of this script was so disgusted by it that he sued the production company to just to have his name removed. He didn't. He didn't. He didn't even want to make changes. He was just like, "Just take me off, otherwise I'm suing you." So there's an awful film for you to watch.
Fantastic. I've got an edition. I think is in a similar vein. I don't have any images of it, but it's called Black Christmas. Um, it's not about representing ethnic minorities. It's about well, it's called Black Christmas because it's a horror. It's a slasher from 1974. Have you heard of it, Black Christmas?
Yeah, I think I have, mate. I think it might have come up whilst I was doing a bit of Krampus research.
Well, it's Elvis Presley's favourite film of all
Was
time.
it?
Yeah, and Steve Martin's. I don't know how they got that information, but yeah, Elvis Presley and Steve Martin's. That's favourite film of all time. It was released in 1974. Um, there is a remake from 2006, but it's nowhere near. And there's also a remake in 2019, but both are considered just complete flops. It was a box office hit, and the reason they believe it was such a hit is because of the tagline that came with the promotion, which was if this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. Um, which
Nice.
is great kind of 70s promo, yeah, a bit of marketing. But it's basically a thriller about a group of sorority girls, and they're getting stalked by a psycho guy, some killer in the darkness, and he, yeah, he just takes them out one by one. um, I'm not going to give any spoilers. I would just recommend watching it. It is apparently quite grotesque. The gore is quite high level, so I suppose that's why it was so successful, because it contradicts the whole Christmas vibe of Well, no, it doesn't if you're in Austria. In Austria, it's perfect. It's exactly the kind of thing you want to watch. But yeah, you don't expect to see a gory thriller based in Christmas. Um, Having said that, I'm immediately going to contradict myself because one of my favourite Christmas films is Gremlins. Um,
Oh yeah, Gremlins is a wicked film, man.
oh, what would you say? People argue about this all the time. What is the definition of a Christmas film? I think as long as it's set at Christmas, which would allow you to include Die Hard and
Yeah,
Die Hard 2, I think. Is that the
yeah,
one where
maybe.
he's at the airport and he's trying to get home again
Yeah,
and
well,
it's
it's
Christmas?
snowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's close enough to Christmas.
Gremlins 2 as well. That was also another Christmas film.
Hulk
Same setting.
Hogan's in that.
Yep. Is he?
Yeah,
Donald
briefly.
Trump's in Home Alone 2. You know they removed that scene.
Good.
They removed it from from the broadcast because they thought it was too triggering.
Yeah, well, he had to go and be Krampus in Austria, didn't he?
Do you know the scene that I'm talking about though? Because he
Yeah,
goes
to
to the
the on the
hotel.
he go yeah
He-
Trump Plaza or
Yeah, he
something,
asks him
isn't
for
it? Yeah.
directions, I think. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'd definitely recommend checking out Black Christmas, the 1974 edition, if you're looking for something that isn't sickly sweet,
Oh,
but is.
I'm I'm picking Lily up tomorrow, so that's our evening sorted.
There you go. Yeah, enjoy a long night of tending to her nightmares as as she wakes up at various points screaming. Yeah. It's not for children. I should just put that in there as a disclaimer. But it is a lot of fun. It's a definite alternative to the usual crap that we have to watch. Um, and there we go. Have you got anything that you'd like to add on the end there?
No, just Merry Christmas to anyone who's ever listened. Merry Christmas to you, buddy.
Thanks. Merry
Um,
Christmas. Merry Christmas, Ginger Brown.
yeah, yeah, and have a nice one, and I'll see you in the new year. And I love you very much.
All right. Thanks for that. Bye.
Okay.
Okay.
Medically